Wait for a few more to come. I've never done this on a Saturday, so I don't know how many people will be here. Hello, hello. Were any of you here yesterday? If you were, let me tell you what happened. So this is my boyfriend's house. Hello, Marcia. Yay! I know Marcia. Hi. Hi, Steve. Hi, Richie. Hi, Glenn. Hello. Yeah. Hi, Chris. So if you were here yesterday, let me tell you what happened. I came to my boyfriend's house. This is my boyfriend's house. I've been here a million times. You've seen videos from here. I've used the internet a million times. I get here, I set up. I cannot get on the internet. I could not get on the internet. I couldn't find the code. I was by myself. So I made a hotspot on my phone and I connected that way. That actually is a really cool telescope. You can put your phone on it and record what you're seeing in the telescope. It's very cool. So I made a hotspot on my phone and started streaming with that. And I think that's why it was so blurry at first, because I was on my phone and obviously that's going to be a worse connection. And then my phone died while we were live streaming, and that's when I went dark. And that's when it stopped, but it was weird because I was able to type things. The whole thing was weird. And then apparently I left it on for a while, so whoops. Thankfully, there was no Jeffrey Toobin situation with that. It could have been a lot worse. So there's that, but I'm glad you guys are back today, and I'm back, and we're all back. So that's wonderful. Loved the 3 hours of black stream. Could you hear me talking? Well, no one was here. I wasn't talking to anyone. Are you charged up? I'm super charged up. Actually, okay. Oh, and so you guys know I live in California. They just opened our restaurants. I went out to eat today at an actual restaurant for lunch. And there were people there, and they were outside, and they were eating, and it was glorious. We'll take what we can get. But as I don't know if you watched the Newsom video that I did. So in California, we can have our restaurants open now, but they're not allowed to. Oh, yes, finally, you're right. What is that? Rhino Brits? Is that how you say it? Yes, finally, but evening chat on Sarah. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you, Sefi. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. This is actually more people than what I thought. I didn't know how Saturday would go. Okay, so yes, they opened our restaurants again finally. The first day they were open was Friday, except we had torrential rain on Friday, so no one could go anywhere. It's only outdoor dining. It's not indoor dining. So they're allowing us to have indoor dining now, but you can't have a TV on. You can let people come to your restaurant. They can sit outdoors, but if you are a sports bar or anything like that, you're not allowed to have your TV on, which, as you guys know, Super Bowl is coming up, so it's like one more blow to the restaurants. Yeah, you can open, but your busiest day of the year, Super Bowl, you're not allowed to have TVs on. Yes, no TV. Yes. It's you can't make it up. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because we all know, Timothy said, get a table and stream the Super Bowl, right? I think we should all just take our kitchen tables and go outside and bring TVs out and just for everyone to see. Yeah, W2F, for sure. Good afternoon, Sarah. Hi, Al. So, yeah, they're not allowed to, and if you remember, when they re-shut down our restaurants right before Thanksgiving is that week for restaurants, that Thanksgiving week, that's one of your busiest weeks of the year, those holiday weeks. And then for sports bars, they can't even have TVs on. That's crazy, because you all know that if you're sitting at a table and there's no TV on, you're totally cool. You're safe. As soon as that TV goes on, you're getting the COVID. We all know that. Run from California. Sasha said that. Actually, I have some updates from the recall Gavin Newsom, and I was wrong. I talked about this in my video the other day. I was completely wrong. So I said the other day that the recall Gavin Newsom has 1.2 million signatures, but they have to be valid signatures, which I was told at the time. Marcia's asking, what is the reason for no TVs? Marcia, I think it's because they're scared that, yes, Timothy, you're right. That's what I was about to say. I'll get to that in just a second. But I don't know. I guess they're scared that people are going to gather and watch the Super Bowl, but people are just going to gather in their homes and watch the Super Bowl. You're much safer in an outdoor setting where you're 6 feet apart from everyone than having a big gathering at your house, you would think. Everyone knows. Yeah. Oh, so Timothy said the recall has 1.3 million. So it's 1,350,000 signatures, and those are valid. So I just got that update, and that came from, I think it's everywhere now, but that came from Richard Grinnell. So I like him a lot. But yes, there's 1.3 million valid signatures, and we still have a little over a month to get the rest of the signatures. That's really, really good news. And yeah, it seems like a far-fetched, but at least it's, if anything, I know that it's making Gavin Newsom very nervous. And the thing about California is we are a one-party state. They don't have incentive to try harder to make things better. They have no incentive to do anything because, like I said, we're a one-party state. We always, if you're a Democrat, you're good. We're one party. Everything is one party, and that's never good. Having a one-party state, because again, you don't have change. But I think I talked about this yesterday. I don't remember, but I was really, really happy to see. So 2 weeks ago, I posted up with a few people in West Hollywood, and we just posted up a table, and it said, recall Gavin Newsom, and people came, and we had the petitions right there so people could come and sign it, and then we handed them for them. So we did that last week. Or not last week, the week before that. We had a lot of signatures. We're going to do it again next week. I just don't know where we're going to be. But a man, his name is Major Williams. He's running for governor of California, and he wants to challenge Gavin Newsom. He came out, and he was there. He stayed with us all day. It was like him and a few members of his team. They were awesome. He talked to everyone. We were there for 4 hours. He was there for the entire 4 hours. His name is Major Williams. He's running for governor in California. Joe Rogan, I'm going to steal what Joe Rogan said. So I'm repeating what Joe Rogan said. But Joe Rogan was actually talking about him on his show, which made me really, really happy. And I'm hoping he comes out again next week, too. So this is Major Williams. He wants to challenge Gavin Newsom. He's running for governor in California. And this is his platform. And this is all from Joe Rogan's mouth, but I like the way that he put it. So that's where this came from. Joe Rogan. Okay, Major Williams, he's a veteran. First of all, he's anti-mandatory vaccines, anti-defund the police, anti-voter fraud, anti-communism, anti-high taxes, anti-human trafficking, anti-regulations, and anti-hate groups, anti-socialism, anti-online censorship. Not only that, he, like I said, he was with us for 4 hours. I watched him interact with everyone, talk to everyone. He offered to buy us lunch. He was just an awesome guy, and I really like him. That made me really happy to meet him. It gave me hope for California. So that was good. I'm just reading some of what you're writing. One party, double standard. Yeah, for sure. And you know, like they don't have incentive to do anything. They've never been challenged before. Us Californians, we just mind our own business and we vote for the same people over and over and over again. But I don't know. He gives me a lot of hope. I really like him. There's a few other people that were running. Isn't he leaving CA? So Nellie, I think you're talking about Joe Rogan. So Nellie says, isn't he leaving CA? Yes, Joe Rogan did leave California. I think he lives in Texas now. Austin, maybe? I don't know. But yes, he did leave. I like that. We are all Americans, in God we trust. This is from Sasha. Hold my hand, liberal, hold my hand, conservative, for we are the people of this nation. God bless everyone. We are all together. I love that. I agree with you very, very much so. And you know what? Sometimes, like California, I always say we are the future of progressive America. And a lot of Californians are waking up and seeing what's going on, especially with our George Gascon. So George Gascon is our Los Angeles County District Attorney, and his platform was on criminal justice reform and things of that nature. But he told people that don't worry, we're gonna have criminal justice reform, but don't worry, our main priority is public safety. Our main priority is putting bad people away. We're not going to be letting out violent criminals. And he lied. If you go on, it's really interesting if you want to see the conversations that people are having. But if you go on, yes, Gascon is a piece of crap. He's funded by Soros. Nelly, you're right. Yeah, Gascon, $2.4 million and this guy, Gascon, who just won the election, George Soros put $2.5 million into his campaign. John Legend put a bunch of money into his campaign, which ironically, John Legend, I believe his house is somewhere around like $15 million, gated, Beverly Hills. Obviously, he's not going to be affected by any of this, so I don't know why people continue to listen to celebrities when they endorse someone. Not knocking anyone that has that amount of money or that lives in that type of house, but you probably don't have a solid understanding of what regular everyday Americans or Californians go through. So yeah, John Legend backed him, Soros backed him. But the interesting thing is, if you go on, there's a Facebook group, it's called Recall Gascon. And so they want to recall him as well. And the thing about Gascon, he got voted into office on November 3rd. You have to wait 90 days. You have to allow that person to be in office 90 days, and then you can start petitions with the hopes of getting that person recalled. So there's this Facebook group, and a lot of people are sharing stories, like personal stories, victims, about people that under Gascon's new directives, they're being let out. So Gascon, his first day in office, he gave this blanket list of directives to his prosecutors, and he's basically saying you can't he got rid of cash bail completely, which Californians, that was actually on our ballot for the state of California. Californians voted against ending cash bail. So that was one of his first directives. Send him back to Disney. Yeah, send him to Disney. He'll fit in well there. Sarah, have you seen how all these now jobless workers are saying that they'll never vote Biden again? Think this will affect his... Absolutely. Do I think that will affect his reelection? Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. A lot of these unions, sorry I go back and forth, I'm trying to answer people as well. A lot of these unions they endorsed Biden. He gets elected, first week in office, they lose their jobs. And these unions, there's already a few of them that have spoken publicly about this. They're like, we backed you, we endorsed you, which I don't know why they did in the first place. You want to know who also backed Biden? Wall Street. It's all over the news today. $74 million was donated to the Biden campaign from Wall Street, which is really interesting. I don't know if you've been watching the press briefings with Jen Psaki, is that her name, Psaki? She was asked about the whole GameStop situation, and she immediately brushed off the conversation and said, what did she say? I wrote it down. Okay, so somebody in the press briefing asked, hey, do you have a comment on this whole GameStop situation? She said no. They pushed back. They said, this is the biggest story right now. You don't have anything? And Jen said, we're monitoring the situation. We have more important things to worry about right now, like getting people back to work, which is odd, being that they just killed a bunch of jobs. And odd because it is the biggest story. People want to know about this, but yeah, $74 million. But I'll go back to Gascon right now. So if you go on this Facebook page, Recall Gascon, you'll hear a lot of stories of victims' families and things of that nature. And a lot of these people, they're starting to wake up. They said, I voted for Gascon, and now I'm seeing what happened. I'm seeing how they played this. I'm seeing, oh, this person put money in their campaign. Oh, every time I turn on the TV, I see nothing but Gascon ads because he had so much money put in his campaign. Oh, like this is all I see everywhere. They're starting to see how it works. And that's really fascinating to me. And these are typically people that don't talk about politics and that are not interested in politics, but they have family members who are being affected because violent criminals are being let off with basically minimum sentences. And violent criminals are being let out of jail. And it's scary. Follow the money. Yeah, I've learned that big time. Follow the money. This has been such an eye-opening year for me, especially like making these videos and talking to you guys. It forces me to research things more than I normally would. And that's what I've learned this year. Follow the money. You want to know the motivation behind things. Where's that money going? Ooh, I can't wait to tell you this. One of my favorite little things, a little story that I learned, cat hair, there it is. One of my favorite things that I learned about this year, so I just bought a book called Propaganda. I can't remember the guy's name who wrote it, written a long time ago. But have you guys ever heard of Torches of Freedom? So back in the day, Lucky Strike, the cigarette brand, they hired a guy to help sales. They realized that women were not smoking cigarettes. It was only men. And they're like, man, we're really missing out on half the population right now, on getting sales from half the population. How can we fix this? So they hired this PR guy, and this was the first big PR stunt in history. So if you went to school for marketing or PR, you probably learned about that. I have considered leaving LA. I'll get to that in just a second. Yes. So he went to a psychologist and asked him a few questions, and they started a campaign, and they called it Torches of Freedom, and used it as this way to knock down the doors of feminism. They're saying, no, if men smoke, women, we can smoke too. And what he did is he got women, really fancy looking women, because women that smoked were seen as like trash. So they got kind of fancy, like well-dressed women to walk around, I think it was New York, just puffing cigarettes, and they called it Torches of Freedom. So, and the genius behind that was, if you disagree with it, what, you don't like feminism, you don't think that women should be able to do what men do. So that was the whole thing. And it was told to the public as this is a like sort of like, not, but this is a feminist movement. This is where equality, that's how they packaged it. But really all it was trying to get up sales for Lucky Strike. That's all it was. And they told people that this was a movement, Torches of Freedom, and blah, blah, blah. Women are free to smoke and vote Marble. I can't say it. Marlboro. There's certain words I can't say. Royal, I have a hard time with. Marlboro. Yeah. But they did that back in the day, and there's this book called Propaganda, and it's like, how do you split up a country? How do you take over a country? You divide and conquer. You inject race, gender, identity politics. You get people to fight amongst themselves, and they're not paying attention to what you're doing. Not no more. Hold on, I'm trying to see what you're saying. Oh, okay. So John M asked, Sarah, have you considered leaving California? Yes, I've considered it a lot, and it's always on my mind. I always have options open. I'm always thinking about stuff like that. But as far as now, I'm here. I'm put. I do have hope, because they're not even just Major Williams. There's a lot of people in California who want to save California and who are really sick and tired of what our state has become. So as of right now, I'm staying. I still, obviously, I have, I've looked at Nashville. I love Nashville. And I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia. So I would go I would go to Nashville in a heartbeat. I've looked at Nashville, Texas, a few other places. But as of right now, I'm staying put, and so that's it. My sister is in England, and it may actually be worse. Really, Will? Like, do you mean move to the boonies yeah? Will says, good, get out, move to the boonies with family. My family, you know what? Like living on a little farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere just sounds better and better. My parents live in Virginia, out in the country, in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of nowhere. And it's actually creepy, like being around their house. They have a lot of land. There's a few horses there. They're not my parents. It's someone that lives next to them. Go dogs. Yeah, I have a Michael Henley. Go dogs. I have a dog shirt. I'm not wearing it right now though. Montana, freeze your marbles off. I don't know if I could deal with Montana. Do not come to Eugene. It's actually illegal to grow your own tobacco in a few states. I didn't know that. I have a really funny story. My uncle, so I have two uncles. I have my mom, and then she has two brothers. And you know, like the bad uncle, the one that's like always in trouble, he was the youngest one. He used to grow when he was a teenager. He was growing marijuana in his mom's backyard when he was living with my grandmother, his mom. He was growing marijuana, and she loves plants. She just had a beautiful garden, and she was watering it. He was growing it out of his window, and she was watering it every day, and it grew, and she had no idea what it was. Go to Nashville, Morris says. I really, really like Nashville. And it's really interesting too, Los Angeles to Nashville. So Los Angeles, you have Nashville and you have a lot of talent in both Nashville and Los Angeles. And I actually know a lot of singers in Los Angeles. And I remember going to Nashville a few years ago. I actually went for Politicon a few years ago. 2019, I went to Nashville for Politicon. It was very cool. I watched Clay Aiken get booed off the stage. That was very funny. What I found is that Nashville had a lot of talent, no ego. LA has a lot of ego, not as much talent sometimes. So that was because in LA you get everyone that just wants to be famous. In Nashville, you have people that really love music and what they're doing. And I was so blown away by the talent in Nashville. It was everywhere. We have lots of working production studios thriving in Georgia because we don't have all the restrictions from taxes that are destroying the California productions. Yeah, Richie is absolutely 1,000% right. And I try to tell this to my friends. It's crazy. I have so many friends that they're actors or they're musicians, some that are painters. There's a lot of people that are in the art world in some way, shape, or form, and they don't understand things like that. But from being an actress, I understand that, Richie. I started acting in Denver, Colorado, which isn't really much of a market, but you learn about, tax incentives. And that's one thing that Trump did on a big scale. And that's what you're seeing with the industry, because yes, Richie is right. There's less restrictions and there's more tax incentives in other states. That's why you see New Mexico has a booming market right now. They have a lot of studios. Louisiana, Atlanta, very booming, and a few other places. That's why people go and film in Vancouver and make it look like New York City, because it's cheaper to film there. You have less restrictions. So, when you deregulate, when you give people incentives, when you help corporations, you actually get more business in your area. We've lost a lot of that business here in Los Angeles. And the reason I stay here is because most of what I audition for is voice acting, and that's all mostly still here. You don't see animation in a lot of these other markets. Georgia has a tax incentive at 30% for films. Yeah, and who else is there? What is his name? Tyler Perry. Didn't Tyler Perry build one of the biggest studios, I think, in Atlanta? My dad got to work with Ed Harris for 2 days on a movie back in the early 1990s. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, they film a lot of stuff in Atlanta. Like, they weren't filming anything when I lived there. This is all new. A Harry Porkbill. People forgot that Turner Networks is in Georgia. Oh, yeah, you're right. TBS. Ah, that makes sense. Let me see what else I have. Oh, yeah, and I don't know if you saw. So yesterday, when our restaurants were open for the first time, we had insane amounts of rain. We had mudslides. I don't know. Look this up. It's actually really interesting. Look up Pacific Coast Highway. right by Big Sur, a chunk of the highway just fell off into the ocean. Big old chunk of the highway because of all the rain. Wilmington, North Carolina. Oh yeah. I think what show? Dawson's Creek was filmed in Wilmington. Yeah, but everyone like criticized Trump a lot for reducing the taxes for a corporation, but what they don't understand is that brings jobs back to the U.S. That brings people jobs. That's why they go overseas and make factories overseas, because it's cheaper. Your labor is cheaper. Doing things is cheaper. So everyone is like, oh, he's big corp. He's giving tax incentives to big corporations, but that brought jobs back. And I'm very familiar with this. Thank you guys, because of the acting industry, just knowing all these other little markets that are popping up all over the place and thriving because it's really expensive to film in California. Tyler Perry did build a huge empire in Atlanta so bad many of his movies suck. I worked with teenagers for a while. I own a lot of his movies because they loved him. They would watch his movies over and over and over again. They loved him. So I bought movies so I could bring it in and let them borrow them sometimes. They loved Tyler Perry. Only thing with Georgia is a lot of the bonding is in California. Yeah, that's true. And it's interesting. I have a lot of friends who have considered moving to Georgia, and that's beneficial to get a few credits on your resume, but you are right. The real bonding and the real networking and stuff like that, it for sure happens in California. And that's the beautiful thing. That's such a cool thing about Los Angeles. It has this magic about it. It really does. I know I can't stand it either, but it has a magic about it. You could be anywhere at any time and look up and see someone that you've been a fan of since you were a little girl, or you're just at a random restaurant or a random bookstore and you're sitting right next to like a big executive. Or one of my favorite, I remember I was working at a sports bar when I first moved here off the Sunset Strip, and I went to a bookstore on my break. I had a 30-minute break, went to a bookstore, was in like the magazine aisle, the magazine racks where all the magazines were, and I was sitting right next to, what is his name? Hold on. Lionel Richie, that's his name. I was standing right next to Lionel Richie. At the same bookstore, I went there one day, and I was standing right next to Joni Mitchell. That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I think she just had a book that came out, and she just did a surprise appearance. Clint Eastwood moved to Georgia and started making movies. Ooh, I like Clint Eastwood. If they moved the money to Georgia, California would lose most of the film industry. Yeah. And, a lot of people are realizing too, like a lot of celebrities are moving because they're like, you know what? All of the auditions now you do it from home. I used to go in since the pandemic. I'm realizing too, I'm like, I don't have to be in Los Angeles. I can still audition. And if I get a job, I'll fly back, I'll come back and do the job and go home. And if it's something obviously, more consistent, but all of my auditioning I do from home now. So, and everything's closed. I used to love going to the Comedy Store. I went there all the time. I used to love going to all the comedy clubs and seeing shows, and you can't do that anymore. They're not open. Hey, Sarah, I have to split rehearsal. You're crushing it today. Thank you, Al. I'll see you later. Budley said, I finally made a live stream. You did? It's kind of weird. You have to get used to it. It's weird. Congratulations. Budley made a live stream. Sarah, I was wondering if I would be able to write you on the email note in your account here. I know it's for business. Yeah, go ahead. It's mine. It's not, I made up, when I started making videos, I don't know how long some of you have been with me, but when I first started making YouTube videos, I was really nervous about my agent finding me and then dropping me all of a sudden because of my beliefs, which I think my beliefs are pretty moderate, but we know how that is. So that's my email. I didn't have my full name. I was scared that people were going to like Google me or come find me. I didn't know. So that was just an email I made so that my name wasn't on it, because my name is on my other email. But now I don't care. I put my full name on my videos. But for a while, if you watch my videos, it just said Sarah. I was a sissy. Now I don't care. But yes, you can email me on that email anytime you want. I check it a few times a week. So do that and I'll answer your questions. Sarah, what projects have you done voice acting for? So I've done a lot of independent projects that have done like the like small film festival circuit. I haven't been able to do anything really big that I'm proud of, but I do have a really good agent and I get to read for a lot of cool things a lot. So I take those opportunities as much as I can get them, and I appreciate them. So yeah, and yeah, I can't tell them. You're very brave to have this channel in today's political climate. Wish you well and stay strong. Thank you. I mean, I just got to the point, you guys, where it got personal. Like, it got really personal. I've told you how bad my parents suffered in the 2008 financial crisis. My parents literally lost everything except the clothes on their backs. Everything. And they're fine now. They have a beautiful little farmhouse. They're happy. There's horses around them. They have a dog. They're retired, so they don't have to worry about anything anymore. But I will say, like, I don't think my mom was ever really recovered. That hit her really hard. It was a tough few years. Literally lost everything except the clothes on their back. Sarah, what do you think about all of this succession talk from Texas? I've been seeing that a lot. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work. I appreciate the pushback anywhere and any way you can get it. I appreciate people standing up and saying no, even if that's all it is. If all it is them saying, we don't approve, we don't like this, and it doesn't go anywhere, then do it. Go hard. That's this whole recall effort. I don't know if it's going to work, but go hard and at least make them say that, no, that we don't like this. We're not okay with this. And it's so unfair. You know, Texas, they like their constitution. They like their rights. They like to be safe. They don't want a bunch of people like pouring into their states. So I think they have every right to get up and say, no, we don't want to do this. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to work, but hey, it's not fair that, you know, you didn't vote for this yet. You're going to have to directly suffer because of this. It's not fair. Montana is going to build a wall. Yeah, I think maybe Texas should just build a wall from the rest of America. I do know that there was some pushback so I don't know if you heard Biden's first week in office, he signed a bajillion executive orders. One of them was to put a 100-day halt on deportations in Texas. And a Texas lawyer actually said that it was unconstitutional and pushed back on him because of that. So they said they are, in fact, not doing that. I'll have to update. I don't know if there's any updates to that and what's actually happening, but there was this executive order, and apparently the ICE facilities literally got an email that said to immediately stop deporting and to release people. And they were like, whoa, we're not going to do this. This is going to put people's lives at. There are some of these people that are violent criminals that they have. So they're just going to let all those people go. The reporter asking about the dictator question on executive action was laughed off. Of course, have you guys watched the new press secretary? It's hard. And what's even harder is I'll look online at like MSNBC and all these places, and they're like, it's so refreshing to have such a classy, wonderful woman as the press secretary. I'm like, so no one before her existed? And from everything I've watched about her, she doesn't answer questions. And I hope this doesn't become the new normal. She does not answer questions. She dodges every single question. Yes, she's hard to watch. She looks uncomfortable, and I don't think it's only because she's nervous. Yes, and she's circling back so much that she is just permanently dizzy. She has to be. I don't even know how she stands up straight because she's circling back so much. What was funny, there was one, my favorite was Sarah Sanders. Yes, I love Sarah Sanders. And what state is it? She's running for governor. And that makes me so happy. South Dakota? Is it South Dakota? She's running for governor. I think that's incredible. I could totally see her as a governor. I read her book. She had a book release last year. She did a whole press tour. And Arkansas. Okay, Arkansas. So she's running for the governor of Arkansas. Thank you. I think that's awesome. I could totally see her as a governor. Arkansas. Thank you, guys. What I said, South Dakota. Whoops. It seems like any succession would be put down as soon as it started. The federal government has only gotten bigger, and the last time secession was tried. Yeah. I don't think California will have to succeed. I think we will just fall off into the ocean. Yeah, and that's my thing. Like, I don't think that it'll actually work, but at least they're doing something. At least they're standing up and doing what they can do. Psaki did some time as Obama's press secretary. I thought I saw, I looked at I was really curious about her, and I looked at some vintage press secretary things. And was that for Obama? I couldn't tell because it wasn't the White House press briefing room. It was something else. But she was way different. She was a lot more confident. She answered questions correctly. I have this weird theory. I'm succeeding from the couch to the bed. I like that plan. That's a good succession, from the couch to the bed. But she was way different. I almost feel, in a way, I feel bad for her because I almost feel like they're just telling her, go out and figure it out. Give call back to Mexico. Give Cali back to Mexico. Why not? They might be able to run it better right now. It's not being run very well. And since I actually watched, I lived in Venice Beach for a few months at the beginning of 2019, and our homeless situation there is just out of control. And I was watching, I watched an interview recently. It was on a local news station about, it's a girl that lives in Venice Beach, and she's an activist for the homeless community. And she was talking about it. Since COVID started, our homeless population in Venice Beach has doubled since COVID started. And she said 70%, if you go and interview the people, and I've had this assumption, and she finally said it. She said, if you go and interview the people and talk to them about where they came from, these homeless individuals, 70% of them are not from California. So a lot of people are coming here because they know we don't prosecute low-level crimes. They'll be able to get away with anything. They can live on the street. No one's going to bother them. They can do their drugs in public, and they know that, so they flock here, which is it's angering. And I had that. I lived in Venice Beach for a few months, and there were several moments. I remember one time and I lived in like sort of a nice like residential area of Venice Beach, and I was like, I think I was right in front of a Starbucks or something, in a regular like area, like a nice area. And I was watching a mom getting ready to cross the street with her daughter. She had like a 5 or 6 year old little girl holding her hand. Right next to her, there was a man without his shirt on who was just screaming at the wind. So he was clearly on drugs. He was clearly mentally unwell and unstable. And the mom is just standing there with her kid, just hanging out. This is totally normal. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is so normalized now. 10 years ago, that wasn't normal. So what's going to be normal 10 years from now? Like for me, when I go on a walk in my neighborhood and I have to kind of like shift to move past a body that's laying in the middle of the street, someone who's passed out on drugs or alcohol, I don't know. And I just kind of shift and I keep going with my business. It's the same thing. It's like, this was not normal 10 years ago. This is normal now. This has become normal for me. What's going to be normal 10 years from now? How many Starbucks are in LA? Oh gosh, all of them. There's a Starbucks on every corner, it seems like. Starbucks and Coffee Bean. I prefer Coffee Bean if I were to choose. When are you going to leave Venezuela? That's what it feels like. I think I had this shirt on the other day. I went to get a coffee. I wasn't at Starbucks. I was somewhere else. And I had this shirt that I thought was really cute. I bought it right before the election, and it says, "I'm feeling free, free, free." And I went in to get my coffee, and the guy at the counter was like, "Do you feel free?" And I was like, "No." And we just started laughing. Victor, how old are you? I'm 36. I know I look 15. Yep. See if I can see any more. Isn't California a Chaz state? No. Well, it's turning into a Chaz state. I think Venice Beach is a Chaz state. Chaz was in Seattle, but we're almost there. We are almost in a Chaz state. Come to Orange County. It's a little better. Yeah, I like Orange County is a little better. I actually like San Diego. Never ask a lady her age. Jeez, I don't care. You can ask me my age. I don't mind. You look 26. Thank you. One more thing. I have more things I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. So, what do you guys think about, there was this talk about a third party. Just moved to Boise from Reading. Everyone wear 3 masks. Everyone wear 3 masks. Everyone turn off your televisions so we can save lives. When will California start losing electoral points from everyone leaving? I actually, you know what? That would be really interesting. California and New York, because New York is having a mass exodus as well. We have too much power and we don't know what we're doing, guys. We're not smart. We should not have as many electoral votes as we do. We don't know. Look who we keep voting into office. We don't deserve this much. We don't deserve this much power. You can't watch the news without a TV. Yeah. Well, yeah, but according to Newsom and California, you can get COVID watching TV. A third party, the pro-responsibility party. So there was all this talk with Trump with a third party, but I think I know what he's going to do. I don't think there's going to be a third party. I entertained it for a moment, but the more I think about it, the more I just think it's counterintuitive. All it's going to do is break up the Republican vote and probably just guarantee Democrats getting back in office. So I don't really like that idea. I get what's behind it. And I get that people are really frustrated with the Republican Party, but I think the answer to that is getting new people to go into office, getting fresh people to run and primary these people. Yeah, I think it'll split the vote. Come to Texas. I like Texas. Where'd the flu go? I don't know where the flu went. Well, it's still here in California. We think. I don't know where it is, though. No one's talking about it. But are they leaving the Democrat BS behind? Good point. Remember Ross Perot and the third party? I do remember little Ross Perot. I can't remember how old I was during that time, but I remember Ross Perot. Yeah, I don't think a third party is a good idea. I think the better idea is just to get a fresh crop of people in there to primary the heck out of some of these do-nothing Republicans, because that's exactly what they are. Trump supporters must destroy the enemy at their back first. Hello, Rhinos, talking to you. Thank you, Michael. No, I think the answer is finding a fresh crop of people and getting them to primary these older individuals and get them the heck out. I think that's the answer. But I've heard talks of Trump maybe starting a television network or a media network. They're talking Trump TV. I think that would actually be a very smart move. Californians voting Democrat get what they deserve. I mean, you're right. And the sad thing is, there's probably a lot of people who are moving out of California because of the Democratic policies, and they probably have no idea that's why they're leaving California. I guarantee you there's a lot of people like that. They are not connecting the policies to why they're leaving or the policies to the Democratic Party. And I do think that's a shame. Hopefully people start to wake up. That network would kill mainstream TV. Yeah. I don't know. I think I made a video about this. There was a guy on CNN recently who this clip went viral, but there was a guy on CNN, and they were basically complaining because YouTubers are getting more views than CNN daytime television, and their answer to that was shutting down the dangerous YouTubers instead of thinking, gee, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I should stop lying. Maybe I should stop selling people propaganda and actually tell the truth and actually do some journalisming. And then maybe the people wouldn't be going to alternative news sources because you guys lie. That's why no one wants to watch it. You lie. There's GameStop. There's Biden just killed thousands of jobs. There's a pandemic, and you look at CNN or MSNBC, and they're like, that new press secretary, I like her. Or they're like, look at this beautiful image of Joe Biden's arms stretching over the National Mall, like he just wants to give it a hug. That's what they're talking about. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch that. We know what you're doing. Stop it. Yeah. Somebody literally asked Jen the color scheme in, what was it, Air Force One? They were asking her how the Bidens were going to decorate and what their color scheme was going to be when we're in the middle of a pandemic and all these crazy executive orders are being passed. That's what they asked. And she said, that's a good question. She said, that's a great question. She didn't answer it, though. She circled back. Or she said she was going to circle back. Now they're saying you can't call people? What are you talking about, Nasta? Out. Joe Biden's press secretary is good for making word salad and little else. She is almost as incoherent as she is. No, she didn't answer that, Michael. She did not even know. Has anyone ever seen a picture of her with Biden? I haven't. What do you think about Laura Trump thinking about running for senator in North Carolina? I like her a lot. I think she would do really well. I think all of them would do well in any capacity. I like her. If they have, they're just going to start banning everything. Yeah, you're right. No, you can't call people anymore. And that's exactly what happened with the GameStop stuff. They actually had an effect. What happens when they try to shut people down? It's because they're afraid of them, because they're having an effect. That's exactly what we saw happen with GameStop. They saw that they were actually they had an effect. They really hurt some of these big hedge funds. And what did they do? They shut it down in plain sight. They did it in plain sight. They shut down the ability to buy the stock to these small retail investors in plain sight. Biden can't answer anything anyway. He knows not what he says. There could be 12 Trump senators if we call for elections this year. You like, yeah. It's just really interesting. Peasants. Yeah, this administration is really interesting. In 1 week, let's recap what happened in 1 week. I have it written down. Where did I do with it? Oh, so in 1 week, Biden pulls back regulations. So we were just talking about regulations. So Trump pulled back regulations, and Biden is reversing that. So which makes it even harder to open businesses. That's one of the problems we have here in California. We have so many regulations. That's why businesses are leaving. So Trump actually pulled back on those regulations in the U.S. That's why we saw a lot of companies come back to the U.S. And Biden just reversed that. He terminated the national emergency order, which was funding the border wall. He's stopping the border wall, which again are going to be even more jobs, not to mention the safety of the people in border towns. Thousands of jobs canceled with the Keystone Pipeline XL. He put the nix on that. And we will not be energy independent now, apparently. That could happen. He is having us rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, which again will cost millions of jobs. And the price of energy will go up. What else did he do? Oh, he wants to rejoin the WHO, which they were dishonest with us. That's why we left, and we give them tons of money, and they were not honest with us about COVID. What else? He looks like we'll be raising insulin prices, basically killed women's sports. I'll be making a video about that. Oh, but the good news, guys, good news, Harriet Tubman is going to be on the $20 bill, and now you can pick your pronouns on the White House website. So we are making progress. And honestly, I don't have any issue with putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. No issue with that. Great. I think that's wonderful. But what is that actually going to do to help anyone? I don't know. Trump was going to put $500 billion into low-income communities. He was for opportunity zones. He was for school choice. That was really going to help some of these communities. And Joe Biden puts Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill. Great. I love the idea. I'm all for it. But what does it actually do? And why are we doing that right now? It's one of those things that's like, look, we care. Look, we care. But you actually really didn't do anything. They are so progressive. They are actually making women's lives harder. Yeah, I know. I've thought a lot about this, and they really are. And I've listened to a few feminists talk about this. I want to make a video on it and look at it a little bit more. But even I recently just watched an interview with Serena Williams, and she said, there's no way that I would ever be as successful if I was competing with men. There's no way. Men are just biologically stronger. They're faster. It just is what it is. We worked so hard to be able to be fair in sports, and now that's being taken away. I don't really like that. And it's not just what it is on the surface. It's also there's scholarships at stake. When you win certain things, you get scholarships. So you might be outing someone a scholarship or causing them to not win in certain things where they otherwise would have won. And also the bathroom situation. Most schools have private bathroom. I remember my high schools growing up, we had like the boys and the girls, and then there in a lot of places there were private bathrooms that were like single bathrooms that you could go into and lock the door. The teachers have there's a lot of things that you could do rather than having people go into locker rooms or play on their sports. And another thing you have to think about, some of these little girls, school-age girls, high school girls, you don't know what kind of trauma they've been through. You don't know if they've ever had any sort of trauma that is involving a man or anything like that. I'm not saying any of these people are bad, but you don't know what they've been through, and you're taking away their safe space. And I'm just from a woman, and one of my favorite places to go in Los Angeles, we have a lot of Korean spas. And they're wonderful. You pay like $20 and you just hang out there all day. They have saunas, like relaxing areas. And the one that I go to, it's all women. And I love it. It just feels safe. It feels nice. Like I can go there and not have to think about anything and worry about anything. And it's just a safe place. And you don't have many of those. You just don't. Yeah, Trump helped Black and minorities more than Obama, but is called I know he had so many things that he was going to do. What's Biden doing? I don't know. As far as now, Trump, every single person that wanted to meet with Trump met with them. And I think it was it Ice Cube whose idea was the $500 billion? I think that was Ice Cube. And Trump saw that was a good plan. Okay, I'll add that little piece to my platinum plan. And that's what he had. That's what's such a shame. It's a really big shame because that stuff, school choice, opportunity zones, putting money back into those communities, that will actually do something. Or maybe it won't. I don't know, but it's something. They want to erase history. I know. Yeah. The corporate brokerage firms tried to bankrupt those companies to take from them over mom and pop investors seen this and gave them big middle finger. Yeah. And you know what else? I wasn't surprised to see that. I think I kind of knew that, but I didn't know the exact number. I wasn't surprised to see that how much Wall Street backed Biden. But what's so funny, again, like all my friends they're artists. They're not all of them, but a lot of them. They're artists, musicians, like painters, actors, comedians. I have a lot of friends, and all of them are super liberal. All of them, when they found out that it was certified for Biden, they were all in the streets cheering. And my thought was, Wow, you guys are in the streets cheering for big corp, big pharma, big tech, the swamp, corruption. You're cheering because you just put that back. And you're supposed to be the artists. You're supposed to be the ones that are telling the truth, that are going against the system. You're supposed to be raging against the machine. And now you are celebrating the fact that you're supposed to be like, damn the man. Has anyone seen Capitol Records? Damn the man. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's your lot in life for being an artist, and you're not. You are out there cheering for big corporations, big pharma, the swamp. You are cheering for corporation. That's what you're doing. Crazy, crazy. And these are people too. When I was growing up, I was the one that listened to Britney Spears. I was the one that shopped at Abercrombie. I was that girl. And now I'm watching all my friends who listen to like underground music, who are like, yeah, I'm too good for Britney. No one's too good for. You know what I'm saying? Like all my friends that listen to like underground music or try to be different, they're all on that side now. It's so funny. I just spit. I just spit on my screen. That's how passionate I am. Be careful what you wish for. I think you need a broader audience. Go on to Jimmy Dore if you can. Jimmy is a good guy. I've recently just discovered him. I like him a lot too. And I would like to have a broader audience, because the thing is, like, all of us, we agree on most everything, and which is awesome. It's a great community and great to be able to talk. But you also want to affect people and affect some change. I really, really like Jimmy Dore. He was recently on System of a Down. Yeah. System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine, damn the man. That's what it's supposed to be. Now they are the man. Sarah, do your liberal friends see your point of view or just argue with you? You haven't seen me really argue yet. I think a lot of them are scared to argue with me. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than people, but I'm just more into it. So I can argue pretty good. And I think they're scared to argue with me. And I think a lot of them know that I'm right. I've had some friends. I remember when I first started, it was 2016 when I sort of had my walk away moment. And I started discovering Ben Shapiro. I started discovering all of these speakers. And I would get kind of excited. I was so innocent at the time. I didn't realize how crazy politics have gotten. So I'd be like talking to, my best friend who we've been friends for 30 years. And I'd be like, oh my God, we went to kindergarten together. So I'm talking about one person in particular, a very liberal individual, was all like Bernie Sanders all the way. I remember talking to her and be like, oh, I discovered this guy named Ben Shapiro, or I thought this was really interesting, or this was really interesting. The look that I would get, you would think I just murdered a small child. Like that's the look that I would get. And looking back on it now, Ben Shapiro is a fraud. Yeah, I mean, I listened to him once here and there a little bit, but he was one of the first people that I found. Now I've sort of my Jordan Peterson, Rules for Life. Yeah, I have that book. He's one of my favorites too. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is someone that I listened to a little bit early on, but have definitely broadened my horizons. But again, like he's one of the first people I discovered, and I remember just bringing him up, and my friend would look at me like I was just Lucifer. Like, Sarah, he's the alt-right. And I'm thinking in my head, like, first of all, what is the alt-right? And secondly, I've listened to a bunch of his talks, and I've never seen him say anything bad. Also, he's Jewish and wears a yarmulke. So, but that's the reaction I would get. They would just look at me like I was evil, or some of them would try to argue with me, but they would see my point at the end. I think they would see my point. Some of them don't talk to me anymore. He has an annoying voice, Ben Shapiro. He's very smart, though. Dan Bungie. Oh, but Jimmy Dore, I like him a lot. He was on Tucker Carlson recently, and he even blew Tucker Carlson away with his point of view. But he's someone that I want to listen to a lot more. I really, really, really like him. Listen to John Doyle and heck off, commie. I think you will love him. Only 20 years old, but he is the best. Okay, I will check him off. John Doyle. Wait a second. I think I know who that is. I think I might. I'll circle back with you on that. I'll circle back to that. But I think Ben Shapiro already left California. He's in Nashville. He took the Daily Wire, and they are now in Nashville. So he's gone. Same here with Milo Yiannopoulos. Yeah, and Milo, so I discovered Milo, and again, I'm not a huge fan of his. I think some things he says are really interesting. I think some things he says are really awful, and I don't want to do the tactics that he uses. One of my favorite things that Milo Yiannopoulos ever said, which actually made me respect him a little bit more, one of my favorite things he ever said was, there should be, because he's a provocateur. That's what he does. He riles people up to get conversations going. Sometimes does good, sometimes it goes bad. Sarah Saki, is that how you say it? Is it Saki or Saki? I don't know. One of my favorite things he ever said was, he goes, there should be people like me on this planet. There shouldn't be a lot of me on this planet, but there should be a few. And I kind of agree with that. And that's how I feel about his tactics. I discovered him first. The same person looked at me like I was crazy when I brought up Milo. I discovered Milo because there was this video of him that went kind of viral. And that's when he went and tried to speak at Berkeley. And that's also where I discovered Antifa. He went to go speak at Berkeley and they basically shut down his speech. He made this video. Oh, sucky. So, was that a joke? It's pronounced sucky. I fell for it. Stop. I lost my train of thought. That was funny. What was I saying? You made me lose my train of thought. I just forgot. That was a joke. Yeah, I know it. Sucky. Shoot, what was I saying? Oh, Milo. So the video I saw of Milo, it was after his speech had gotten shut down, and he did this video in his speaking at Berkeley. So he just did this little 5-minute video in his hotel room just talking about freedom of speech and how important it was and how it's under attack. And that's when I discovered him, and I was like, wow, I always thought this was an evil, awful, terrible guy, but he kind of has a point here. And that's the thing, I don't love him, but he has a point sometimes. Do you have it? It's on a timer. Did it just go on? No, it's not a clap on. It's on a timer, which is really annoying. I met Milo. He's hilarious. Yeah, he's funny. I wouldn't use the tactics that he uses, but they're whatever. Naomi, I just don't know how to say her last name. Naomi and I are really good friends. I would insist on checking her out if you're ever interested in the whole conservative viewpoint to climate change. She is known as the anti-Greta. Oh, I will. Naomi. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, but I will check her out. No, I do. There's a ghost in here that's turning on lights. Yeah, climate change, I would be really interesting to see. Who was it? Rebel News? Okay, this is my favorite Greta story. So Greta Thunberg. Thunberg? What to Netflix binge? Night Stalker. I got rid of my Netflix for a while ago out of principle, but I've been watching a friend of mine's, and Night Stalker is pretty awesome. Do you follow Brandon Straka and the Walkaway movement? Yes, I follow Brandon Straka and the Walkaway movement. I have met Brandon Straka before. I met Brandon Straka at Politicon. I was just telling you about that. Politicon in 2019 in Nashville. What's her name? Is it Donna Brazil? No. April Ryan. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to tell you. It was because of cuties. I canceled out of principle. Yes. So Politicon, it's like comedy and politics. You'll see it's really fun. It has a lot of energy. To me, it's exactly what politics should be. Just people arguing, but no one has hurt feelings for most part. That's not true for the whole thing. That's where Clay Aiken got booed off the stage, but it's kind of fun. But there was, so you have rooms where there's like panel discussions, debates, and then you have sort of a main area where a lot of people have booths set up, booths set up, and you can buy merch or like meet different people from different things. Brandon Straka had one. There was a walk away booth set up, which was right next to a stage. So in this main area, there was a stage right in the middle. And they were doing a panel, and it seemed like a really long time. They were doing a panel. April Ryan was there. I don't know if you know who she is. I'm not a fan of hers. She was there and a few other people, and it was a panel about being Black in the age of Trump, which turned into they were just literally just calling everyone racist, saying anyone that supports Trump is racist or complicit in racism. Trump is racist, the whole thing that we hear all the time. And it was starting to really get on my nerves because I didn't choose to go to this talk or this panel. That's what it was. It was a panel. I didn't choose to go there. It was set up in the middle of the convention. So you had no choice but to listen to this garbage all day. Well, not all day, but it had gone on for well over an hour, and I was just walking back and forth, just listening to it, and I was getting so grossed out. Well, anyway, they opened it up to Q&A, and Brandon Strzok goes up there and asks a question, and I didn't get the first part of the question, but he basically handed it to April Ryan to the point where she walked off the stage. He was calling her a liar, and I can't remember what he was referring to or how it started, but I remember standing behind him when he was doing that. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? She and the entire panel just walked off the stage in the middle of their Q&A. So that was pretty crazy. And I said hello to him after that. And I thought that was pretty cool. Shirley Temple became the ambassador of Czechoslovakia. What? Okay, so we're talking about Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple became the ambassador to Czechoslovakia. Good to know the King Reagan then, LOL. I was a Reagan Republican till the dark times before the empire. I used to watch a lot of Shirley Temple movies. I've always disagreed with the notion that politics should be boring, since that's how we got here in the first place. We were too bored to fight these battles before they got out of hand. For sure. And Brady, thank you for saying that. I agree with you, Brady. And I think that's the problem. I think politics are boring, so no one paid attention to it. My aunt and uncle on my dad's side, they both voted for Biden, and but they're not like they know my mom is a Trump supporter, and they can talk about that sort of thing. So my mom, just out of curiosity, was like, why? And my aunt, she's a very successful woman, very smart, has had a good and steady career her whole life, just awesome woman. And the reason she voted for Biden is because she hates Trump. And she knew nothing about Biden's policies or what he wanted to do or what platform he was running on, didn't know about the email scandal, didn't know the allegations, didn't know any of that. And it was really shocking to my mom, but I think that's a product of what Brady was saying. Politics are boring to a lot of people, and I understand that. They were really boring to me for a long time. The reason I got back into it was because I saw how crazy it got and realized, oh, maybe I should pay attention. But again, that's why we're a one-party state here in California. That's why people voted back in the swamp, and we're celebrating because most people don't pay attention. They're right. You're right. It's boring. They're not paying attention. It takes a lot of time to really understand what's going on. And I think that's the problem. And now it's getting so out of hand that it caused me to look into it. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you. Yes. So Richie says, yes, one of my favorite professors in college had worked directly with Shirley Temple. I love Shirley Temple. I watched a lot of her movies. I watched a lot of old stuff when I was little. I watched a lot of I Love Lucy. I watched Good Times. I watched a lot of Shirley Temple. I loved. Oh, what do you think Creepy Joe will appoint Hillary to? The secretary of, oh my gosh, can she just go away? Can she go away? Do you think he's going to appoint her to something? Good shit, lollipop. I should learn one of her songs on my ukulele. All right, you guys. Well, I think I'm going to go. Do you have any more questions or anything? If you do, I'll stay on for a few more minutes and see. But I think I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys so much. That was really fun. Michael, thank you. Hey, your super chats are working. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, they're working now. I've been able to monetize for a really long time. I just haven't. My goal isn't to make money, but of course, I do have to eventually live and, things like that. But my goal has just been to make good content. I have been able to monetize for a while. Some of my videos are monetized, some of them are not. But thank you, Michael. I really, really appreciate that. No, you just do it to have fun. I do. I actually have a lot of fun making these. But then sometimes, like this week, it's like I don't even know what to talk about because so much is happening. And it's like, what? Oh gosh, it's hard to stay up to date with everything. Colbert is good. Oh, Corbett. Every time someone says Corbett, I think, okay, I'm actually writing this down. Corbett. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone coming in here and interacting and watching. I had a lot of fun. Good night. God bless you, Alex. Good night, everyone. I will see you around. I'm actually going to turn it off this time and not do anything embarrassing. Best pet, dogs or cats? Oh, that's hard because I have both. I have a cat and I also have dogs. I think my cat is cooler though. She's pretty savage. She will make you think that she's your friend. She'll rub on your leg and then turn around and give you a little whack. So I think it's pretty cool. All right. Okay, bye guys. Thank you. Bye. Okay, ending now. Bye, bye, bye. Stay tuned for the the black stream. Yeah. Oh gosh, not this time. Okay, bye you guys.